Hi, class. I wanted to touch base before your test that's due on Sunday. And the first thing I want to say is good job on the quiz. You're learning the vocabulary, most of you, that's presented at the beginning of each lesson. So make sure if you're not doing that, you look at the vocabulary to do on the quizzes and, of course, watch all the videos. So, anyway, good job on that. And secondly, I just wanted to review a few problems here. This first one, so this is about population and sample, right? And so let's, first, there's different numbers in here. A survey of 1,021 U.S. adults found that 45.1 have a favorable view of Cuba. Identify the population in the sample. So remember that the population is the entire group of people that you're interested in, or the entire data set, okay? So the fact that it's a survey, that limits the amount of people that is in the sample. So this, the 1,021 adults are going to be the sample, okay? There's the sample, and that's going to represent the response of all U.S. adults, and so that's the population, okay? One other thing I wanted to point out, this thing here, the number, that's either going to be a statistic if it comes from a sample, or it's going to be a parameter, a population parameter, if it comes from the population. So there's the 45.1. Is that a statistic or is that a parameter? Well, it's coming from this subgroup. It's coming from the sample, so therefore 45.1 is a statistic. All right. Describe the sample data set. 45.1 of the 1,021 U.S. adults who have a favorable view of Cuba. All right, and then 44.9 of the same sample do not. Okay, so that's the first problem. Second problem here. All right, so here again, looking at the numbers, there's the 21%. Is that coming from the population or is it coming from the sample? In a phone survey of 100 random households in the country, 21% of families had garages. That number is based on this sample, so therefore it's a statistic. Otherwise, it would have been a parameter. All right, so parameter always goes with population. Statistic always goes with sample. Anything that says statistic and population is automatically wrong. Okay? Or parameter and sample, that's automatically wrong. Okay? So another one here. This is on the level of measurement. Okay? Be careful when you have these graphs to make sure you're looking at the right numbers here. This is the number of people on the vertical axis. On the horizontal axis is A, B, C, D, and E, which are these things. So even though these things are lined up vertically, they are actually on the horizontal axis. So what does this ask us for? Identify the level of measurement on the horizontal axis. Okay, that's these. And since these are just categories, there's no numeric values in there at all. Those are going to be nominal. Okay? And then on the vertical axis, which is here, it's the number of people. Okay, the number of people. And when you have a zero there, that means there's no people. So that's an inherent zero. So that's ratio data. All right, that's ratio data. I think what I said in the video and want to repeat now, interval data is typically temperature. So if they have temperature out there, you're going to pick interval, or years. All right, temperature or years. And ordinal data is something that's kind of like strongly disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. Anything that's ordered like that is ordinal data, okay? Top 10 movies, that's ordinal data. All right. So I hope that helps you out. Now, number 7 here, let's look at that. Make sure that you do all of your homework problems, all right? Just when you want to, before you take the test, go through and do all of your homework problems. Make sure you know how to do those, and you're going to do well in the test. So let's look at this sampling technique here. It says, identify the sampling technique used and discuss potential sources of bias. All right, in 1965, researchers used random digital dialing to call 900 people and ask them what obstacles kept them from eating healthier. All right, so this is just a random sample, right? And you have two things in your notes there, a random sample and a simple random sample. And I don't think they're going to try to confuse you with that in this problem here. So here they give you cluster, simple random, convenience sampling, and systematic sampling, all right? So the only one that's going to make sense here is the simple random sample. That means out of the population, every sample of the same size has the same chance of being selected, right? And so in this case, they selected 900 people randomly. That's also a random sample. But since those two aren't given, a random sample and simple random sampling, you're not going to get confused by that. Cluster sampling, as you know, is when things are divided. The population is divided up, usually naturally, and then they'll randomly pick a few of the divisions and sample everyone in that division. And then convenience sampling is like, oh, the first 10 people I meet, right? It's going to be convenient. And systematic, I always think it's systematically done, and you pick the first number randomly, and then like every third person after that, you would select. So that's not done this way. This is done randomly, okay? But just because it has random in there doesn't mean that that's the answer. So be careful about that. What potentials of sources of bias are there? Individuals may not have been available, right? That could happen. Some people don't have telephones, right? So they're automatically left out of the sample. Individuals may refuse to participate in the sample. I'll tell you what, like some of these are a little bit hard to distinguish. And if you feel like you have a good reason to pick something, you got it marked wrong, you can write me and I'll look at your answers there. But anyway, that's a sample of what's on the test. Like I said, almost every single test problem should be similar to one in your homework problem. So make sure you know how to do that. And of course, you can write me if you have any questions on any of that. But keep up the good work.